Hey everybody, it's Comic Crack. Sorry about that. Had to do a couple of rails before the video here. Welcome. Sorry I'm late. I am here. I'm alive. I'm good to go. Do I see Spiro.geek in his house? Hello, Spiro. How you doing, man? Elder God, hello. Damien, hello. I think I saw Loading the Cannon before. Welcome, everybody. Here we go. Let's just get into it. No preamble. So let's start with these two. A couple of little ditties I found yesterday. Found a couple of things yesterday. The upstairs at Red River Bookshop was open, so me and my son went and hunted down for a little bit and kind of checked stuff out. And these are two of the things I found there. The cover sold me on this one. The price made it easier to kind of purchase, and I was surprised to see color inside as well too. This is from 1990, Alchemy Studios. First printing, thank God. It doesn't say where Alchemy Studios is from, and I don't think that there was any other issues from this one, but this wasn't a bad premise, as loose as it was. Like I said, very surprised to open it up and see color. There's a little bit of Howard Cruz-ish here look to some of the faces. It's unfortunate there's so much that's kind of this peachy flesh tone, which gives it a weird kind of feel to it. But I love this page here. So this guy gets transported into the future, as he apparently has been chosen out of these scientists to be the savior. There's some shenanigans happening on the moon, I think, and he's going to be transported there to solve the mystery. And in the meantime, when he sleeps, he's having these visions of an Earth that's been decimated by a plague. Weird. Highly unlikely. And he kind of wakes up in a cold sweat from these things, and he's communicating with the animals. It's an odd one for sure. It was a fun little read though. Some kind of sparse interiors. We're not talking any Wally Wood here. He also has this vision of this guy who's I think has killed his parents. It's not 100% clear, this guy's relationship to his reality of his past. So this guy in here ends up killing him in his visions. Yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder about the company as well, to see what else they were tapped into. I haven't dug into this yet. I haven't looked into Alchemy Studios to see what else they did. It does lead me to believe that maybe they had a couple of things going if they could afford that color. And here's the interior. Welcome to the IMB. It's supposed to be this big reveal, and it's like I said, we're not talking Wally Wood or Kirby tech here. We're talking some basic flesh colored everything. So there you go. That was that one. Not horrible for sure. Not horrible. A really great surprise was this. This is a 3-part mini-series, I think. Yeah, 3-issue limited series from 1988, I think. You're not too bad there, Nate. We just talked about this one. This Arena from 1990, Alchemy Studios. You're not very late. So I think this one was 1988, 1986. That doesn't make sense because that's signed 1987. So anyway, this is from Pyramid Productions, and it's another Rick McCallum book. I love Rick McCallum. I've got Ashley Dust. I have the final issue winging its way to me as we speak. Hopefully it'll be here this week. I have that other one that we looked at last week, the kind of D&D Dark Regions I've got some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff that he did. I think a single issue, actually. So this, I would say that this is a lot closer. It's weird with the timeline for this. So this is 86, and I'm pretty sure Dark Regions was after this. But this feels more Ashley Dust, Rick McCallum than the Dark Regions does. Does he have someone helping him out here? Plot and script. So he's art and plot. So maybe that's because he's doing everything himself and he's found his voice. But in Dark Regions #1, I believe it was him inking himself, and it didn't quite feel there. So maybe this story spoke to him a little more, because there's some really great McCallum stuff in here. I did read it, and I'm struggling to remember exactly what the hell happened in this one, to be honest. So this will need a reread if and when I manage to get my hands on the other issues. But again, I do like his style quite a bit. It's not 100% there yet. We're not full on into Ashley Dust territory, but we're pretty damn close with his characterization and movement. And Jared, I don't know if you watch these, but there's, I don't know if I've said this before, there is something that feels a little Jared Osborne in this to me as well too, and I can't quite put my finger on it, on what it is. But maybe it's in just the facial features, possibly. I don't really know. Either way, I want everything that McCallum has done. I do really like the guy. So he's being, at this point, he's being transported through other worlds and dimensions by this little girl. They're trying to get him to come back to their time and place. So with all of that happening, we get a nice little passage like, where is it here? Like this, these 2 pages, as every time she pulls the lever, he gets transported somewhere else. So we jump all the way through for a couple of pages. So that's Dimension Z. That's issue #2. Yeah, totally. From the one and only, everybody's favorite, and definitely one of my new favorite publishing discoveries, Harrier Comics, the UK's Harrier Comics. Shock Therapy, which is a horror anthology? I think there was a few stories in here. Frog, so the smallest type known to man. This is 1987, August 1987. And I tell you, man, the Harrier covers that look like this are the ones that I love. These kind of yellows and blues and reds, these bold kind of colors. We got some pinky purples in here as well too, with these crazy looking creatures. It does give it a feel of kind of an underground comic, and some of the art inside reflects the same thing. And I mean, speaking of Rick McCallum, this has some of that feel there as well too. In this, maybe not as ornamental as McCallum's stuff. It's been a while since I've read this one, so I don't remember too much about it. It was an anthology, though. There's a few stories, and I think, like with most of these anthologies, it's kind of hit and miss. These are some nice pages here. I love this. This is great. Trying to deal with the tripod and stuff here too. Yeah, that stuff's pretty nice as well. The Insider, Rainy Morning in Morlington, H. Priestley and R. Weston on art on this one. Yeah, I completely do not remember these stories at all, so I guess that speaks volumes. I do remember the pages, but I don't remember anything about these suckers, so clearly nothing really stood out to me in this one. But there you have it. And then just before we move on to the next one, speaking of Harrier, I've had this issue, this #1 Barbarian for a long time. One of the things that I found yesterday in the shop was issue 4, 3, and 2. So now I've got the first 4 of these. So those are on the reading pile to dig through these ones. I think this one went like 6 or 8 issues, I want to say. So quite a bit more than you would expect. But again, we're dealing with some very basic black and white in this. But I don't know, I'm intrigued. For the most part, every time I see a Harrier, the cover is enough to draw me into it. There are a couple that I have seen that didn't kind of pique my interest too much, but those look all right. So I guess on to the big boys here. What do we got here? Yes, okay, let's pull this one out. We'll save those ones for last. I don't have too much to say about these. So id, this is Robert Crumb, issue #1 and issue #3. It's a sketchbook type of stuff. Yeah, those covers are pretty good on Barbarian. I agree. It's Robert Crumb. It's he gives you fair warning right in them that if you're easily offended, or if you're a woman, you might want to just pick up another comic. This is pretty intense stuff. I've said it a million times in the past. I love Robert Crumb's art. I think he's a fantastic artist. I've never been a hardcore Crumb guy. I do enjoy his stuff for the most part. This I enjoyed, I guess. Sometimes the misogyny does get a little much, though, and I get it. I understand this is what he's trying to do, and it's the id, and he's just kind of not filtering. I totally understand all that stuff, and I don't fault him for any of it, and I would never say don't buy Robert Crumb, because he's an incredible artist. But this wasn't my favorite thing I've ever looked through in my life, but still glad to have it. It's nice to have some more Crumb. Cyberlust, the first computer-generated erotic comic. This is a 3-issue. This is a 3-issue series from Aircel. The story is kind of inconsequential. Surprise, surprise. There's some sort of sci-fi elements. There's some sort of espionage elements that are happening in there with these research labs. But it's very, very, very threadbare, just to get us moving through the story. One of the things I did like quite a bit, hopefully, I don't know how well it's gonna, sorry, excuse me, I didn't bring any water down. I don't know how well it's gonna show up on the camera, but a lot of these textures from the computer graphics, I guess, I think are incredible. And it's one of those things that I hear the kayfabe guys talking about sampling things to make their own digital screens. These would be great pieces to sample, like that's coming up on his face there. Really, really nice textures. And then we get our kind of ninja spy here with some of these pages stand out quite a bit, though. I love this. I love all this tech shit that's happening. Our main character has some robotics in her, and then she has this kind of cat that was sent to spy on her, that she ends up, the cat kind of breaks protocol and breaks its programming, and they kind of build a relationship together. So yeah, it's fun enough. The story, you know, I guess it's always going to be a thing. I wish there was a little more taken on the story. Some of these things are nice too. These panels are great with her jumping out the window and stuff. But yeah, it's all about those textures and backgrounds on here. Looks pretty incredible as a black and white. I don't know the year on Shatter. What year do we have on this one? This is June 1981. I'm not sure when Shatter came out, but so there you have that. Cyberlust, just the 3 issues. Created by Scott Beiser, or Beezer. This was a really good surprise, and it makes me want to, even more so than I already want to, dig up stuff from Gordon Derry. So Gordon Derry was the writer of Warlock 5. Gordon Derry is also the writer of Shadow Walker. This was a solid first issue. Hints of kind of that Warlock 5 style. There's something about the way he just gets you right into the story here. On page 3, you're right into it. This was a really fun read, and the art is pretty great. And I think this only went the 1 issue. I don't know if Colin is still here. I'm pretty sure when I did some looking, there was only the 1 issue listed, which is too bad because this feels like it could be, you know, given like 6 or 8 issues, be a contender right alongside Warlock 5 for sure. So yeah, this is worth picking up if you can find this out there. What year do we have on this one? This one we have a year of 1988 for this story here, or for this issue rather. Yeah, just the 1 issue. Yeah, enjoyable read for sure. I need to just kind of do a search for Gordon Derry comics and just write a list of everything that he's done so I can track it all down. So we'll end the stream with these 3 here, and we'll end them with these 3 because they all sort of tie in to some degree, art and style wise. So I found a whole bunch of Grendel Volume 2 in the 50-cent bin. I'm going to try to hunt down issue number 3, because with 3, then I'll have issues number 2 all the way to like 11 or 12 or something. So I do want to find issue 3 before I carry on, but I wanted to give it a try, this first issue. And this first issue was intriguing. I wouldn't say that it completely drew me in right away, but there was enough interesting there that I do want to keep going with it. So the Panda Brothers, inked by Jay Geldhoff in here. And I wonder if that has anything to do, because when we look at Ginger Fox, you'll see kind of the difference. Let's look at the years too. So this is 1986. The Penner Brothers are a name that I was vaguely familiar with, but the more I see of their art, I really like their stuff. They take some, especially in Ginger Fox, when we look at that, they take some chances, not as much in this so far. Now, I don't know a ton about Grendel, but I'm guessing, and someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but they only came onto Grendel with this volume. So I don't know if their art kind of changes a bit over their time here on this book. I'd be very curious to see, or maybe they were kind of given a little more direction as how to take their art. But I really like the looks of their stuff. It really just, it screams 80s, but there's a neat kind of abstraction to some of it. And like these side profiles, these very flat side profiles, I kind of like. It all goes to a very unique look, very bold, and jumps off the page. So like I said, an intriguing issue. She dons the Grendel costume for the first time in this issue. So I guess issue 1 is just more build up to this. There's a couple of story plot points that I didn't really follow. I'm not sure the significance of these eyes. Maybe you're not supposed to be at this point, but I feel like there's a reference to something that happened maybe in the first issue. But either way, gonna find number 3. I'm hoping to find number 3 so I can keep reading that. So that's a fun, I think that's going to be a fun book. Now this one, on the other hand, this one is kind of incredible, if I'm being honest. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and there was a few reasons for that. So I've seen this around in the past, and it's always been the covers that I've just looked at, and I've never really given them a second look. These covers are horrible for me personally. I find them just really hideous, but it doesn't tell you what you're in store for on the inside. So this is 1988 here. So was that Grendel 1989? Is that what we said? Oh no, that says 1986, doesn't it? Okay, so a couple of years later. The chances that they take in this one far more abstract than in the other one. Even doing little things like just throwing in a panel sideways to get the full figure. You can see the looks on their faces, very, very angular, pointed chin, this nice shadow there. And then as we go later, we'll probably skip ahead a couple of issues. So this one focuses on this woman who's made this movie called Critter. I think she's kind of a producer at this film studio. And one of her clients, one of the people that works for her, is an actor who has come down with AIDS, and she's kind of trying to mitigate that. And then this is her husband who's kind of causing problems here. What do we got for credits here? Styling. Let's see here. Do we get an actual proper fucking credits? We get styling. All plants, very importantly, all plants in this issue were drawn by Hank Pander. I'm not seeing any credits here. I think maybe it's them doing everything though, but I'm not seeing. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Mike Barron, the director. Pander Brothers cinematography. Bob Pinyaha sound. And Diana Schultz producer. That's funny. Sound. So the lettering. So her ex-husband is thrown into the mix, and just kind of this kind of debauchery that's happening with film production, like stuff like this. Seeing these multiple fists coming through as she knocks him on his ass. And it just kind of gets wilder the further you go. We'll skip ahead to another issue because I don't think there's examples of it in this issue. But I really, really liked this one quite a bit, especially once I got into the flow of the story. I thought it was a very intriguing read. Like, look at those faces, man. They're incredible, and this really bold flat coloring I think works incredibly well on this. Everybody's doing blow in this one. Let's see if we can get to, I think it might have been in issue 3 that there was a couple of really wild things happening. Plants, just a note, the plants in this issue were also done by Hank Pander. Let's see. Yeah, I've got to start flagging some stuff in these issues so I can find them easier. Look at this wild face. Really great, honestly. Search these out. They're an absolute blast. And it's just this bizarre, abstract look to everything, and some of the characters that just kind of get wilder and wilder as the issues go on. Even just that water there is beautifully drawn. Wobbly panels. Yeah, I feel like there was stuff happening on the edges of pages. Look at those hands. Incredible hands, man. Like, really. Yes, shout out to Hank for his plants for sure, Spiro. Maybe it was in this 4th issue. Sorry, I'm now determined to find this. So even characters kind of flipping the page here in this one section, kind of breaking that fourth wall. Her literally pointing to the next page on the very next page. As things kind of get more wild, we get stuff like this. This executive just gets more and more distorted the further we go into the story. As he wants her gone, he wants Ginger Fox gone. This kind of spilling out into a couple of panels and outside of the panels. Amazing, amazing stuff. So I don't know how much they've done with this style. Super, super cartoony. Man, I've got to mark stuff, because there were some faces that were appearing just on the edge of panels that were almost Picasso-like with their abstraction. And of course, now I'm not seeing any of them. But trust me, they were there. That's a real bummer. Anyway, I like this a lot. So search that out. Let's have a quick flip through number 2, since we're full on. More cocaine taken there. Party scene. This was a great page too. She's breaking in. Her assistant has been kidnapped, so her kind of bodyguard is sent to kind of break into this party, because they think she's being held in this penthouse suite. And as she breaks in, she catches the attention of the security guard, who of course looks like this. And I love the way these two panels interact with each other. So this is him kind of falling over on his ass, but the panel before is this kind of a close-up, and the way that those bodies interact with each other, feeling like one piece, is beautiful. Damn it, man. Well, whatever. We'll move on from here. I can't seem to find any of it. Aha, snapper doodles. Here we go. So these characters that are on just the side of the panel that they're talking to, just to kind of get a little taste of these other characters, like you're looking over their shoulders. I thought that was a nice little touch. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. Again, to the point of being just ridiculous. But yeah, so I've raved about this one enough. This is a great book. Pretend those covers don't exist and hunt this one down. You won't be disappointed, I don't think. If you're watching this, you're probably on board. Being written by Mike Baron makes it interesting. Kate, I have a Ginger Fox graphic novel written by Baron, but drawn by Mitch O'Connell. Oh, okay. To track down this mini. Hello, very. And then finally for tonight, I felt it fit, because there is some similarities. It's not as wild, but I feel like this one channels that kind of 80s energy as well. This is Mr. E from 1991. So before Vertigo was Vertigo, they had this, which is just, it's a Vertigo story, basically, is how it reads to me. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. So this Merritt Deckel here, who did these covers, I did a search for him to see if he's done any other comics work, and he hasn't, unfortunately. These covers are gorgeous. He did a lot of he did kind of a design, and I think he did some like book covers and things like that, and then some fine art painting. I think from the little bit that I looked, I think this was the only thing listed for comics work, this cover work that he did. So Mr. E is a character that was from I don't know, House of Mystery, House of Secrets, one of those horror books. I've got some of his early appearances. Possibly, I think I have his first appearance, and then he also appeared in Trenchcoat Brigade, which was after this. I think a good 6 years or so after this, I want to say. So this is an intriguing book because this guy is really fucked up, and it's the Phantom Stranger and Dr. Fate who kind of introduce us, and it feels like there's a lot of kind of running threads throughout this. He appeared in some Sandman adjacent books as well too. Yeah, possibly. Mr. E for exciting. So we start out fairly straight ahead. Tom Zico, colorist. K.W. Jeter, writer. John K. Snyder, penciler. Jay Geldhoff, inker. So Jay Geldhoff again. Geldhoff, who was on, was he in the Grendel? Yes, he was in the Grendel, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure. Yes, so Jay Geldhoff in doing inking in the Grendel issue as well too. So he makes an appearance again, which would account for the kind of similar feel. It starts out, like I said, it starts out straight-ish, much more so. Yeah, Books of Magic, that's right. Starts out definitely more straight ahead than it ends up. The final kind of issue especially, we get some wild stuff, and there's a lot of these interesting kind of design line work here in clothing and just for textures and stuff. So this first one didn't kind of grab me as much. I was a bit confused. It's basically, we're dealing with Mr. E going through a kind of battle with his various parts of his personality, his female side, and then his kind of demonic kind of monster murderer side. The story with Mr. E is that when he was a child, his father was very abusive and caught him looking at some dirty magazines and took his eyes out with a spoon for it. And the woman that was in the magazines apparently has manifested herself in this reality here. And there's this kid, I think, that's tied in with the Books of Magic as well, to Timothy, I think his name is, that is going to be this next uber powerful magician that he is going to, Mr. E is convinced that he has to go kill. So we're basically following, if that's not a Image Comics 90s kind of look there, I don't know what is, especially all this torn fabric here and those colors. The green could be taken right out of Spawn. So you get the sense that your main character here is this almost like serial killer type of person. We'll skip ahead to issue 3. So we start to become a little more unhinged by the end here. And again, it just gets, the work gets a little more busy on the page. But this is the kind of elements that I'm talking about. All of these shadowing and textures and curves and shadows and stuff that are happening in her figure here are a good example of it. Yeah, it's, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's gives it a unique look and feel to the whole book. By the end of this, I did enjoy it quite a bit, actually. These last couple of issues brought it together a little more. I wouldn't suggest running out and grabbing this unless you're looking through this and you're loving it. So one other thing that's finally revealed is that maybe it wasn't, maybe he didn't get his eyes dug out of his head with a spoon because of looking at dirty magazines. There's a real feel that his father was sexually abusing him and his sister. I don't know what it is with this era and these Vertigo-ish titles, but it's always some sort of abuse, sexual abuse that seems to take place in these books. Don't know what was in the water at that time. So you can see there a good look. Again, it does have some, it does kind of foreshadow, thinking about it now, it does kind of foreshadow some of that Image Comics 90s vibe as well. But these covers are just stellar. I wish this Merritt gentleman did more. Yes, that, and it was right before. You're right, because this is 91. It was actually earlier in 91 that those stories came out. So it's a direct kind of continuation from those books of magic. I wouldn't mind picking up those random issues on his Wikipedia page. Like Mr. E's Wikipedia page, that is. They did list the issues that he was in. So I'm thinking of trying to track some of those down as well. Yeah, like look at this stuff. It's pretty great. So Dr. Fate and Phantom Stranger kind of leave him to his own devices, and they just kind of have faith and that he's not going to kill this kid. Spoiler alert, he doesn't kill the kid, and Phantom Stranger kind of comes to him and admits that, hey, we were just using you as a pawn. We wanted to scare this child because we wanted to scare him towards magic. Because he is going to become this powerful magician in the future, but he wasn't ready to take that next step. So we sent you basically to scare the shit out of him, and we knew that it was going to be a gamble, that you might actually kill him, but we thought it was worth taking the risk. So a very unusual kind of story. And then at the end here, he walks off. He's got a long road ahead of him, and the stuff that kind of he's going to deal with, these demons that he's battling. I think we don't see him again for another couple of years before he's back in comics. He doesn't make a ton of appearances, Mr. E, but so it's interesting to bring this character into a world and introduce him just for something like this, and then kind of leave him off to the side. I like that idea, actually, that there's this character wandering around in the backgrounds of some of these other DC stories that were happening at the time. It's an intriguing thought. So yeah, that was, it didn't start off the strongest, but by the end, I kind of enjoyed that quite a bit. So there you go. That's Mr. E, 1991. So what is that? 2 years before the first Vertigo title, because I think the first one was 93, right? So there we go. And with that, that's it for tonight. Did I miss anything? No, I didn't. I've read a couple of hardcovers as well, but I know that Rasa is going to be, if she hasn't already, she was going to be getting the Golden Age out from her library. I'd love to talk about those two books, but I'd love to talk about it with her once she's read them. I think that would be a good conversation there. For the quick note on it, I loved both of those books. There's some of the I think a couple of the highlights of my reads this year were that Golden Age. Really, really enjoyed both of them. I liked the way the story wrapped up. I liked some of the things that happened in the second one too. So beautiful, beautiful books, both of those there. Okay. Spiro, great to see you, man. Elder God, good to see you. Thanks very much for hanging out. Loading the Cannon, always good to see you. Man Morgan, or Mon Morgan, and Damien, if you're still around. Nate Pancakes, thanks for hanging out, all of you. Yeah, we'll talk to you.